Hi everyone! This is Lucia, or Alyssa from Lucia's Neurodivergent Life, also known as NeuroLucia, and today I'm here with my friend Jaden, and we're going to be talking about gaming and autism, and ways that gaming can help people on the spectrum, and it's fun. So, I saw that you said woof in the chat, Jaden. Here, I'm going to say woof too, just to make sure that the chat's working.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we sent that.
Actually, it looks like I might need to refresh it. Here we go. Refreshed. Here we go. Woof, woof.
Yay, I saw your comment come up.
Sup. Wow, YouTube chat is... I see, like, Paxton... Oh, maybe I have the wrong chat up. That's probably why. Oh, that's so weird. Hi. Yeah, your chats aren't showing up at all. I think I gave you the wrong chat, Jaden.
That's weird because I'm seeing your woof and woof woof comments.
Oh, you're seeing it in the window, but I'm not seeing it on my stream at all. So I probably need to find the actual live stream link. So, Jaden, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like just whatever you want to share, like your diagnosis or diagnoses, and I don't know, age or something, like stuff you like to do.
That's like a lot to cover. I think I would do better with direct questions.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what's your diagnosis or diagnoses that you're okay with sharing here?
I was originally diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and it wasn't like typical Asperger's, I guess you could say. The only reason that I got a diagnosis of Asperger's instead of just classic autism was because I could communicate, essentially.
That sounds about right. That was like probably why I was diagnosed with Asperger's, honestly. By the way, Jaden, I sent you an updated link to the chat, so that one should work.
Cool.
I don't know why it was being dumb. Okay, so, but yeah, that was like, I think why I was diagnosed with Asperger's, because like I wasn't like nonverbal or anything. I could still like interact with people, and to some degree, like, you know, had kind of a social life. I don't know. I was considering quote unquote high functioning, although like, you know, those labels aren't always very useful because, you know, you probably know from experience we might be like quote unquote high functioning in some regards and like low functioning in others, and have times when we're like having good days, bad days, and all that good stuff. So
yeah, one of the biggest problems that I've faced throughout my life is the fact that I function well enough for people to assume that I'm just fine.
yeah.
But in every way that matters, I'm literally just like a mess.
I know. It's like being verbal it's not a good indicator of like how well you actually function. Like people make assumptions and be like, oh, you're so articulate. It's like, so that makes you high functioning, right? It's like, no. It's like, you know, I need reminders to take my medication, and my sleep schedule's messed up, and I have crippling social anxiety, you know, like, so stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, all right, so we're only streaming to YouTube, just so you guys know. So nobody from Twitch is watching because I don't have like a NeuroLucia Twitch channel. Let me make sure that my music is working. Okay, cool. All right, what's up, everyone? Hi, Glyphic Enigma and Rage Master and Paxton and everybody. So, like I said, we're talking about gaming and autism. So, I'm gonna take a look at, we have kind of a bit of a script, very, very brief script. So Jane, tell me a little bit about your relationship with video games, starting with maybe like how you first got introduced to video games as a kid, if you're okay with sharing that.
I don't remember how I got introduced to video games specifically, but like I've been playing and beating video games since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. Not a lot of memory back then. So.
Well, no, most people don't remember being 3 years old. But like, yeah. What kind of video games do you like to play?
I like all kinds of video games, but I think mostly I tend to go towards like open world and like I guess you could say kind of like RPG, but not like classic RPG type of thing. More like action RPGs, kind of like
cool.
Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda. That's like a big one. And
yeah.
So like you as an autistic person, like how have video games impacted your life? Like whether that's positive or negative or whatever, like have they helped you through life?
Yeah, they've always been kind of an escape for me. Growing up, like I grew up in like a super dirt poor household. And like my mom had bipolar and stuff, and so like I was usually like in my room, mainly because like I didn't really feel like being anywhere else. So like, yeah, video games and other kinds of media too were kind of an escape for me.
Cool. Paxton says open world, platforms, farming. Yeah, y'all tell me what kind of games you like if you play video games as well. But yeah, so like people sometimes when they think of escapism, they like think of like a lot of people think of it as like a bad thing. It's like, oh, you know, you're just trying to escape life and stuff. But in your case, like, because I've known you for a long time, seems to be more of like an actual positive like coping mechanism. And that's something that like I think people misunderstand about like when autistics are spending a lot of time playing video games. I mean, addiction is a risk. Like there are autistic people I think with actual legit gaming addiction, but you know, when we have special interests, we spend so much time on our interests that it kind of looks like, oh, is this maladaptive? But in a lot of cases, it's like, this is actually what's making us happy and keeping us like balanced. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and like how do I put it? Sorry, I know I said like a lot. I should probably be a little more specific. So for you, like how specifically has your escapism into video games like been a positive thing for you? Like what does it help with, I guess?
I guess it helps get rid of my boredom. But like it also it also kind of like makes it easier to deal with just life in general, because like, you know, if I'm just like sitting there thinking about all the things I can't do, that's not very productive. So
Yeah.
like usually I'll play a video game because I'm actually pretty good at video games, and most of the time I'll either like laugh at something stupid that happened to my character, or like or I'll just like just generally enjoy the story and the game and the environments and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. I now I'm trying to remember what it is that you mentioned. Bad memory, man. Because you said something earlier, and then like I'm like, oh, I want to respond to that, and then like my brain like lost it. So you're saying that So you're saying that games help? Oh yeah, like it's like rather than sitting there thinking about what you can't do, it's better to play video games because it's something that you know how to do, that you're good at. And I think that's really important when, especially if you're someone with like a disability in general, like it's important to focus on the things that you can do, even if it's not something people consider to be like stereotypically productive. Like in my case, in your case, like we can't really work traditional jobs. Like we've already talked about how like, you know, we can't function enough for traditional jobs. So we can really do only very little. So but the things that we can do, it's like if we focus on those, we at least feel like we're being productive and fulfilled, and it at least like helps with like anxiety, keeping us calm, helping us not think about all the crap that like we can't do. And I think that's really important. And I know people are probably gonna, you know, look at people like you and me and be like, oh, they're so lazy, they're like not doing anything. But it's like, no, we're like legitimately disabled. Like, would you rather have us just sit here and ruminate about how much we can't do, or would you rather have us sit here and be calm and content? Like, that's how I would say it. So and do something we actually can do. Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna respond to chat. Rage Master says I play all kinds of games. Paxton says I agree with that. I agree with that as well as what he said. It just made it more easier to cope from being different, to be honest. Mario really helped me, to be honest, when I was younger, and still kind of does. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like when people kind of fail you and fail to understand like your differences, it's like, well, video games aren't going to judge you. Video games are fun.
Pretty much.
Hello, I forget how to pronounce your name. Jay Hilst. You say I'm an 80s child, so I like mostly retro stuff, Atari, NES, old computer games. That's awesome. I myself tend to like retro games. More specifically, the era of like Nintendo 64. Like that was my favorite system. I know some people would say that, oh, it was such a trashy system, but I really like it. I loved, especially growing up, I loved the Zelda games on a Nintendo 64. And my brothers were the ones who usually had all the video games. So I would be like watching them play those games, and it was just really good memories. And I ended up like inheriting that system, and now like those are my favorite games ever. Nintendo version of Zelda's. So Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask are probably two of my favorites. But yeah, and Jaden, what I find really interesting is like, because you've mentioned Zelda, is the fact that like you have like such a huge interest in some Zelda games that you've started like randomizing and stuff. You want to tell people like what randomizing is?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool thing. So randomizer is basically, well, let's use the original Zelda as a good example because it's a pretty popular randomizer. A randomizer takes all the items and depending on like what you want for the game, it can take all the items, all of the entrances. It can even change the world completely and make it into a completely new adventure, kind of like a puzzle you had to solve. So it's kind of like replaying the original Zelda if they had continued making more quests past Quest 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the reason I bring up randomizers is because, like, I think a big reason why you play randomizers is that, like, you've already played, some of those Zelda games more than once, right?
Oh yeah, with the original Zelda, I've played it since it first came out, pretty much.
Yeah. And would you say you're also the type of person who, like, when you play a game, you have to try to accomplish, like, everything in it? It's like, get all of every item, everything that you can do, discover every secret, try every glitch, things like that?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was just curious, because, like, I know that it's like once you've explored everything in a game, or even if you've just played it once, you know, it's possible to like get bored with it even if you've just played it once, I think, or once or twice. I mean, I don't mean you specifically, I mean, I'm talking in general. So like, it kind of makes sense that you get into randomizers, and it kind of is like, I wonder how many autistic people specifically play randomizers, because we're, out of the population of gamers, we're probably one of the most likely people to play the same game over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, pretty much. And the thing about randomizer too is like, especially if you're doing like Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, especially. Randomizer will pretty much teach you where everything is, just because of the fact that you have to look for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry if you see me like shifting around. I'm trying to fix my chair. It's very rickety and old.
Yeah, I put a straw in my soda because every time I took a drink, my character would like kind of, you know, look like he was wrenching his neck or something.
How much can we break our avatars? I wonder. Like, just look, my hair is going through my chest. Okay. ADHD. Yeah. So as for me, so my diagnoses is I have ADHD and autism and lots of other stuff. PTSD, OCD, very high anxiety, stuff like that. And like, what's really interesting is my experience with gaming, I think, has been kind of different than yours. Like, you use games to kind of wind down and escape. With me, like, my brain doesn't process too much at once. Like, my brain is super sensitive to information overload. So games, because they have so much stuff going on, depending on the game, can actually be really overwhelming for me. Now, if it's a game that I'm more familiar with, is a lot easier. That's why I would play like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask more than once, because I've already played them. As long as I'm in the mood for it. I mean, you're probably the same way. You know, you play whatever game you're in the mood for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But like, I've been taking forever to catch up with the times and to play newer games, because the more realistic the games got, like graphics wise, the more my brain would fry trying to play them, because there's so much to look at. It's like life already has the highest possible graphics, and I get overwhelmed by details in real life. Like, I don't need this in games. So I was perfectly happy just playing the Nintendo 64 for the longest time. And eventually, when the PS3 came out, I was very late to the party, but I did finally cave and I bought a PS3 only because I wanted to play the game Oblivion. What I really wish I could have like recorded my first reaction to when I played Oblivion, because like that was the first what I consider to be kind of hyper realistic graphics game that I played, at least in comparison to like you know, Nintendo 64 graphics. And what was funny is because you start like in the sewers and there's like rats and stuff attacking you, and I was like freaking out, because to me this was really realistic. I'm like, oh, I'm being attacked by a rat relentlessly. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And so I freaked out at that. But like, once I actually got out of the sewer and I look around, and like I see like the beautiful night sky and I see the trees and stuff, I'm like, this is gorgeous. And the fact that this is like from the comfort of my own home and I can view this without having to actually go outside, like, oh yeah, like I'm all in. So I bought a PS3 just to play Oblivion. And then I ended up getting Skyrim, and you know, that's how it all started.
Yeah, pretty much what you just described was my experience with Ocarina of Time. Oh,
really?
Yeah, we bought an N64, and the game that came with it was Ocarina of Time, because that was the promo game that they pushed out for a lot of the consoles. It was that and Super Mario 64. We did eventually get Super Mario 64 as well, but what we actually got with the console was Zelda. And I remember seeing the 3D for the first time and just like kind of being, in amazement that they could actually do that soon after Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that was like that was one of the first 3D consoles, basically.
Well, for Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to respond to... Paxton says, Super Nintendo for me because Super Mario World was the first game I ever played and loved it, and I still play it. Nice. Jay Hilst says, that's what I like about older games. The lower tech graphics allow you to use your imagination. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yep.
But yeah, I find it interesting than me, Jaden, like you grew up more with like the NES and stuff. I mean, I grew up with the NES as well, but I was much younger at the time. I would say the one that I really like actually grew up with was more like Nintendo 64. So for you, it was like probably even more novel because you were used to like older systems.
Mm-hmm.
Paxton says, "Don't forget about."
I also had that.
Oh, sorry for interrupting. Some kind of a VR headset, and it was really like old and terrible, and I don't know if that was it.
Maybe.
Maybe that was it. I don't know. Ooh, wow, you're a little slow. Maybe it's my internet. Hang on.
Yeah, I noticed your mic kind of cut out a second earlier.
Yeah, sorry. Are we still live? Just want to make sure, because sometimes the
it looks
internet,
like it, yeah.
The internet sometimes decides to be a bit of a butt. So, that's fun. I'm gonna change the song because it's like over dramatic piano, and I don't need that right now. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that energy in my life. So.
But yeah, I was gonna mention that what we were talking about earlier about like that sense of amazement at seeing something the first time or whatever. I actually had that response to Skyrim VR as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, holy crap! I mean, like seeing people play Skyrim VR is one thing because you can't see the depth of it, but experiencing it the first time, it blows you away.
Yes.
It's just completely different.
This is a good opportunity to segue into VR because like I mean I realized the same thing also about VR. Like I would watch people play VR chat and I was mostly amused just at the concept of it, and I've played like IMVU before, so I'm not new to like avatar, like 3D avatar type chat room things. But like it's a very different experience just watching someone play a VR game and actually being in it. And
yeah.
Like I was hesitant to get VR for the longest time because again I'm slow with the times. I like my old games. I was comfortable with my old stuff. But eventually I caved in. I got a Quest 2 headset, and that's partially because Jaden got a Quest 2 headset, and I think I tried it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Also, your avatar's head is like twitching. I
can't do anything on that side.
I had too much sugar today. Maybe it's just the lighting in your room, but it's better.
Honestly, my webcam's like 20 years old, so.
I guess that would make sense. Yeah, we can get you a new one sometime. But anyway, but yeah, like the first time I think I tried VR was when I was hanging out at my older brother's house, and he has like a PSVR, or I don't know if I've tried your PSVR first or I tried my brother's, but either way, it was one of those situations, and I played like some office simulator, that's what I keep calling it, job simulator. And I played what's it called, okay, my brain just died. Okay, I played some job simulator and I played some Beat Saber, and I'm like, this is freaking amazing, like this is awesome. And at first it was like, it started out as kind of just a novel thing, but then when I actually got a VR headset and I started playing it more, I realized it was actually very therapeutic. And in the sense that, like, after I was done and I took the VR headset off, all of a sudden I felt more aware of my body, like, in a good way. Like, I feel like I'm actually in my body for once, which is something I struggle with as an autistic person and someone who has experiences dissociation as well, especially with, like, extended isolation. Like, even now, like, I feel very isolated where I'm at, and when I'm, like, alone for, you know, too long, I eventually start feeling kind of disconnected from my body. So that's a good reason for me to actually socialize, even if I don't want to. But VR kind of helps with that. Like, it puts me in some other body, or no body even, because, you know, sometimes it's just a pair of hands, but it gets me out of my immediate reality, giving me a little bit of a break from it, because it just feels like one big dissociative mess. And then when I get back in it again, I'm like, wow, everything's so lucid now. It's so weird. It's like, you'd think it would be the opposite. You know, people, I think, are so concerned that, oh, well, VR is going to make people detached from reality, is going to mess up their life and blah, 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 blah. And maybe that might be the case for some people, but it's the opposite for me. It's so interesting. What about for you?
Yeah.
Like, what is VR like for you? Or what has it done for you, I guess?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to do is mention, along the same lines you were talking about a second ago, was because with most people, when they first start getting into VR, they reach a point where they kind of, I don't know, they detach from the reality that they're in. And I guess, I don't know why, but their brains seem to think they're actually in the VR world when they're playing VR. There's a lot of accidents that have happened for that. But like the more common symptom is when they take VR off. They find that either their spatial awareness is messed up, or they kind of feel like their body isn't theirs sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's pretty common for people to have some form of VR sickness for a little while, but it does go away. It's not like a permanent thing.
Yeah.
And it's not as big of a deal as people might think, so.
Yeah, I think that would go for most people who try VR. Like, there are some people who they hop into VR and they don't experience any motion sickness or anything at all. But there's some people who, like, they get, you know, really motion sick when they're in there. And I think in a lot of cases that does pass after you've grown accustomed to it. But I wonder if there's also some people who, like, that never goes away. I don't know. The only people I know who, like, actually have motion sickness with VR are people who haven't played it for very long. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do get motion sickness when there's a lot of movement, like you would in real life. Like, I was playing VR chat the other day, and there's this guy who has an avatar that's literally just a rock, but, like, you can sit on it. And because VR chat is from, you know, a first-person view, when that rock is moving around, like, you know, I'm seeing wherever this person's going because I'm literally sitting on top of him. and so if he, like, spins around too fast or, like, moves way too fast, I'm like, okay, I'm getting super dizzy, I'm gonna get off now. So
Yeah.
So that's fun. What I think actually causes that in a lot of cases, and this is kind of how motion sickness works for, like, also if you're in a car as well, where what you're seeing, or not what you're seeing, but, like, it's like your brain is struggling to keep up with the actual motion of your body or the motion that you're seeing. Like, they don't match, basically. So if you're in VR, for instance, and you're using the joystick to walk around instead of actually, you know, walking around in your environment. There are some games where you can actually just walk, but, you know, if you have a small room, it's not really practical. So if you're using the joystick to walk around in a game, what you're seeing is the character, you're seeing from the first person perspective of the character walking, but you're not moving. So your brain is struggling to process that, and it can make you feel motion sickness. So I honestly, in the future, I think it'd be really cool if we get like what are those called, omnidirectional treadmills and stuff, so we can actually move our bodies like with the movement of whatever's happening in VR. That would be so much more immersive, but also help people with like motion sickness. So yeah. I get car sick. It's not fun, not at all. I tried VR in a car once. It was funny. So I was on like a road trip with my parents, and like I had my VR headset with me, and I'm like, I want to watch Netflix, but like in VR, because it's like a movie theater, and it looks not a movie theater. Actually, the Netflix app, I think you're like in a living room on a couch with a TV in front of you, and I'm like, that sounds fun. You know, that would be really immersive. Put the headset on, go into the app, and my view is drifting with the car.
Yep.
Because the car is moving, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like literally sitting on this virtual couch, and my character's just like rotating, and I'm like, excuse me, virtual body, I am trying to watch this TV show, and I have to keep readjusting because I keep rotating. So I'm like, yeah, don't play VR in the car. It doesn't work. Anyway, sorry, I went off on a weird tangent there, but another thing that has helped me regarding like VR is like I bought Beat Saber, and I don't regret it, and I freaking love it. And like I've never been the type of person to really be into like rhythm games, especially stuff like, you know, Guitar Hero and stuff. I've tried those. I've not really been terribly good at them, but this game was like meditation for me. Like I get into the zone. It's like when you start, at least this was my experience, I don't know if everyone experiences this, but like when I start, you know, playing a song and I'm like hitting, for people who don't know, Beat Saber, it's a rhythm game where you have to hit these boxes in different directions, and it's to the beat of a song. And so I would get into this flow state when I'm playing. It was very like meditative in a weird way. So sometimes when I would just be bored, or if I'm feeling like unfocused, I go and I play Beat Saber. And then like another positive thing is it's exercise, like legit exercise. If you ever want to play Beat Saber, like be prepared, do stretches, hydrate, like dunk your arms and shoulders in like ice afterwards if you're doing anything really intense, because honestly, like I was so sore when I was getting used to it. But now it's like, I got beefy arms and shoulders, so yay. So that's actually, I think something like Beat Saber and VR games in general is a really good option for autistic people who struggle with exercising, because there's a lot of barriers to exercise. Like not every exercise. There's lots of different exercises that you can do at home, but it might be that you don't want to go to the gym because, you know, there's people everywhere at the gym. That's like a no. Or you don't want to go outside because maybe you're sensitive to sunlight, or you're sensitive to the, you know, changes in temperature, or even just honestly, just the unpredictability of the weather is enough to make me not want to go outside sometimes, because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to rain. I mean, I can check it, but it's so unpredictable. I can't say like, oh, every Thursday I want to go for a walk, because it's guaranteed that on one Thursday it's going to rain. So that's not really reliable. And then even if you're trying to exercise at home, there might be distractions at home. There might be people in your vicinity just being really loud, or if you live with people, or like you might live near like a busy street or something, or like maybe you're even sensitive to things like the sounds of just like the fridge humming, or just, you know, lots of that stuff is distracting. Or even just motivation's a problem. Like it's hard to get motivated to just do some yoga or to do home exercises because this is boring. Like you don't have anything to look at. Maybe you could do it when you're watching TV or whatever, but it's like it can be boring, which is kind of detrimental if you have ADHD for sure. VR, I think, is a good option for not fixing, but like getting around a lot of those issues. Like it's literally a game. You're playing a game. So you got the motivation piece in there because it's fun. Mm-hmm. And then also VR is super like it's super immersive. So even if you have distractions at home, especially if you have headphones on with the VR headset, like, or earbuds. Like, earbuds are probably more practical. Headphones don't really fit over, but it's like, it's even more immersive that way. But also the sound, even just on the Quest 2, it's like surround sound, like right by your ears, and it's great. Like, I can't hear much outside of that, even without headphones. So
yeah, when I
helps.
first got my Quest, I was blown away about the sound quality without earphones as well. I mean, like, it's literally just practically in your head as it is.
Yeah, and it doesn't leak
And
a
on
lot
the
of
out-
sound either.
No, not at all. On the outside, most people, like, don't even hear that much.
Yeah, like maybe if you have
I
the
mean, you
volume up high, they might hear a little, but not much.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like, unless you've got it like full blast and you're swearing up and down that your neighbors must possibly hear that only at that point will someone else in the room probably complain about it. But yeah, the sound doesn't, travel outside of the headset very far at all, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like, there's also this app for Quest that you can get called Trip. And I think I wonder if you can get it on Steam VR. I'm not sure. So for those who don't know, there's all kinds of different headsets, and most of them, like the nicer headsets, they only work when connected to a PC. And usually, with wires involved. And Quest 2 headset, and I think there are other ones too, right? I think the Quest, there was like a first one or whatever that I think is like this, but I don't know. I don't know much about the original Quest, but I know that the Quest 2 is a standalone headset. Like, it's like a computer almost built into it. And if you wanted to play PC VR games, you can kind of use it as a regular VR headset, and you don't even need to have wires, so it's like wireless. So sorry, I just had to throw that in there. So if people are actually looking into VR, like, those are, I guess, some of your options. But yeah, so when I say Steam VR, that's like PC VR. So yeah. So there's this game, it's not really a game, but there's this app called Trip that's like a meditation app for Quest 2. And I ended up buying it because it's amazing. Like, holy crud. Like, if you like to see psychedelic imagery, go for it. Well, I mean, it's not like disorienting, at least not to me. It's really, really cool. There will be like guided meditations. You'll hear like a voice, like a gentle voice saying like, oh, like, breathe with the particles that you're seeing. Like, you'll see particles go in towards you and out towards you. Like, it's very natural, the way that it encourages you to relax. It makes it super easy, which is really important to me as someone with ADHD. Like, I've meditated before. I benefit from meditation, but getting started on it, actually calming my brain down, is hard. So kind of gamifying it is nice. And the environments in there are just like beautiful. And they have like a free, I guess a free version of it where you can access, like, it's only like one meditation, but even that one's just super relaxing. And then, but I ended up buying like the whole thing. Like, you can get, for like $35, you get a lifetime license, and you can access all of their environments, and you can customize too. Like, you can be like, oh, I want a focus type of meditation mixed with this specific environment or something. Or you could just, if you wanted to, like, not even have a voice on and just look at the pretty visuals or listen to the pretty music. So stuff like that I feel like would be really therapeutic for neurodivergent people or autistic people or people with ADHD, because like a lot of us really struggle with meditation. And I even have suggested, like, to my mom, like, hey, because like she like has like a psychology clinic type thing. I'm like, why don't you have like a VR headset for people to use, just like just for calming purposes. Thanks for the random drink thing, Jaden. Thanks for the reminder to hydrate. Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now, actually. I'm gonna mute myself while I drink a little bit of water.
I guess I'll take the time now to mention that VR is really good for treating phobias as well. Especially like in my case. So I guess I'll go in chronological order for this one. So I started with PlayStation VR, and like it's nothing special. It's not bad for the setup or what it was. But one of the first things that I played for it was Iron Man VR, which has you literally as Iron Man. The very first thing you do is like jump out of a plane. So you're and for those who don't know, I have acrophobia, which is fear of heights. So in Iron Man VR, it launches you out the plane, and you're literally falling towards the ground. And that's when the game starts teaching you about like how to use the suit and stuff like that. Of course, the suit, you don't have it yet because it flew out the dang window. So you had to wait for it to get back to where you are. But it was interesting because it puts you in these huge open environments where you're literally flying around. In one, for as an example, in one particular mission, you're in a major city, so you're like flying around a skyline and stuff like that, and you can fly from the ground all the way up to the tallest building. So there's a lot of space between that, and you spend most of it in the air. So me having acrophobia, I found that rather interesting, and I had to remind my brain that I'm the one in control, that I'm not just falling, I'm literally flying through this environment.
Yeah.
Some days that helped, some days it didn't. So
how about nowadays? Like, how do you respond to that stuff nowadays?
I don't really think too much about it in VR at the very least. I mean, I haven't been in situations in real life where I've had to deal with heights, but I can't imagine it would be terrible, like what it used to. I'm sure it's helped at least a little bit.
Also, thank you, Paxton, for the super sticker. That was nice of you. It's Red Bull. That's funny.
But yeah, and so another fear that I have is fear of spiders. I can't stand spiders. They drive me crazy. They're creepy, and they're scary as hell. And like, yeah, and like they do that thing with their legs or whatever, and they just ugh. So anyway, when I got Skyrim VR, I didn't really think about it at the time, but when I got Skyrim VR, I was like, oh hey, this is cool. And then it got to the point where in the very first mission, you go down to that cave, and I was like, oh crap, there's frostbite spiders.
Oh my gosh. Were they like huge in VR?
Oh god, yes. The smallest ones are the size of your like a leg or something. And like the big ones are bigger than you are. So when they jumped at me, I was like, ah shit. So I was like, kill it with fire.
Well, yeah. Hi Danny, it's good to see you here. And Danny says Ginger Snaspy likes spiders. Yes. Also, Ginger Snaspy is the name of my my gaming channel. Just so you know. But that's me. So yeah. But yes, I do love spiders. I'm weird. I used to catch spiders and sort of keep them temporarily as pets and just kind of observe them. Either they usually like died or I would just let them go. I didn't know how to like properly feed spiders at first. But eventually like I don't want to get into too much detail for people who are afraid of spiders, but like I like spiders. Okay, I'm weird. The only ones I don't like are the ones that like are very poisonous. Like I don't want to get anywhere near them. But I really like jumping spiders because they're very harmless, and they're actually very curious about humans, and they like will go up to you and they'll like look at you with their little eyes and just be like, "Hi, human. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" They're like the puppies of the spider world. So sorry, that was like a special interest rant. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there was like one time. There was like one time where I wasn't bothered by a jumping spider. Jumping spiders creep me out probably more than most spiders, because like, you know, you're sitting there minding your own business, and then you're like, oh, spider, and it turns to you, and you know you're like looking at it, and it's looking at you, and all of a sudden it's like
jump. That's why I like them. That's why I like them. Honestly, they're freaking cute. They're like, hello human, what are you doing? Can I do what you're doing? Here, let me jump over here, and then over here and over here. They're like ADHD or something. I don't know.
Something. But yeah,
says, my house is filled with spiders. When I worked at the grocery store, there was a jumping spider and someone caught it. Oh.
Yeah, there was one time when I you know, started like not like worrying too much about jumping spiders, and I was out at the farm or whatever at the time, and there was a tiny jumping spider on my grandma's car, and I was just sitting there like playing with it and moving my finger around it, and at one point I had my finger like really close to it in like a curved arc position or whatever, and the spider lifted one of its legs. It's like, what?
Is it like it said hi to you or something?
I guess. I don't know.
That's funny. They're weird. Jay Hill says, I don't mind spiders. I hate wasps. So, oh my gosh, I hate wasps too. Oh my goodness.
I got stung by a wasp once. That was not
buggers.
fun.
No. It hurts like heck. And then
it really does, yeah.
Rage Master says spiders are worse than snakes. I don't know how I feel about snakes. I like spiders more than snakes, if I had to choose.
I don't mind snakes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I will actually pet a snake.
Look at the little snake. I just tolerate snakes. Sorry for. I hope we're not triggering like everyone's phobias here, but yeah. So one thing I wanted to mention also about VR is that
yeah, it's like, oh, we've got spiders and we got snakes, and it's like, oh, back to the topic here.
Back to the topic at hand. I have no good segue. So, I think my music stopped for some reason. There we go. I'm gonna start it again. What was I gonna say? I forgot. My brain literally just died.
Something about VR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, another thing is that, and someone else kind of mentioned this, and I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. VR, specifically if you're using something like VR chat, is kind of a safe way to help with some social anxiety, because you're not like trapped in a social I mean, it might sometimes feel like it, but like you can exit the social situation at any point. You can block people. And it might not be the best place for everyone to experiment with like exposure therapy if you've got, like social anxiety, because there are a lot of really weird people in VR chat, and especially in like public rooms, so you gotta be careful with that. But like for me at least, I have found it to be kind of weirdly helpful, and I'm the kind of person who like, I don't have like really strong social anxiety, but I do avoid a lot of specific types of social situations, and one of them is just like randomly socializing with strangers with like no plan. Like, I can't just like walk into a bar with the intention of socializing with people, for instance. Like, there's no way. That's just not gonna happen. I mean, I like events, like interest-based events. Like if I want to go to, let's say, this is a really obscure example, a cuddle party, because I love cuddling. Like that's something I'm interested in. Which, if you don't know, cuddle parties are just platonic cuddling that's like kind of arranged in a way that's like a consent workshop, which I find very useful. I found very useful for me because I didn't really learn the ins and outs of consent growing up. So they basically emphasize like you literally do not have to do anything when you come here. Like you can say no to like everything if you want. Like that's the point. But yeah, anyway, sorry that was like a little segue. But like stuff like that, like it's funny that I'm perfectly comfortable with that because it's something I'm interested in. And like I know what to expect. With something like VR chat, you just hop into a public room and literally anything could be happening. Anything. You have to kind of suspend your expectations. So for me, that's like what kind of terrifies me. But over the past even couple days, I've been randomly socializing in VR chat, and actually it's been pretty fun. Like weirdly enough, like I still get kind of anxious because I'm like I don't know how to start a conversation, and like it's sort of like real life in the sense that like a lot of people have VR headsets on and you have to be mindful of like their personal space and like don't be super awkward. It's different than like using something like IMVU where, you know, you can be as awkward as you want in IMVU and most of the time nobody really cares. But like in VR chat, you can't like get in people's faces or, I mean, some people do that anyway because they're just trolls, but so it's like I have to still think about like normal social expectations to some degree, albeit with some differences, and like be like, okay, how do I do this? Like, how do I approach this random person who's like already in a conversation with someone and like walk up to them and make sure like my VR body language is not like super threatening or super weird. But once I get over that, like it's actually not that bad, and I found it kind of therapeutic in dealing with, again, the isolation that I am experiencing a lot. So yeah, but if I had to choose though, I would still much rather just hang out with friends or people I'm familiar with. So but yeah, so yay. What else were we gonna talk about regarding video games? Let me check our list here that we have. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention, if any of you are gamers, I highly recommend, like if you're a gamer and you're autistic or neurodivergent in some way, like I highly recommend checking out the Autistic Gaming Initiative, because they do these monthly live streams with autistic streamers and stuff. Like all the streamers in it are autistic, and you know, there'll be like a weekend once a month where they're streaming, but it's not just like an event, it's also like a community of autistic gamers. Like you don't even have to be a streamer, and you don't have to stream specifically for AGI to join the community. I'm gonna fetch the website here. I think this is it. Just gonna make sure. Yep. Here's their website if you want to check it out. And I want to see if they have got a link to their Discord. Oh, they do. Oh, nice. Yeah, if you click on the website, there's this big button on the top right that says join the community. And that's how you can go into the Discord. And there's lots of stuff that people talk about there. So even if you're not a gamer, like there's lots of different topic channels. Like, I mean, when I say a lot, I mean a lot. They have a lot of different topic channels. So like if you're into, I don't know, like there's literally a trains channel in there. Excuse me. I'm dying slowly. But they have a lot of topics in there, and the people there are generally really nice and friendly and wholesome and get along really well. Like there are a lot of Discord servers where, you know, they're literally just like a cesspool of like crazy people, and it's like totally unmanaged. This is like the opposite. It's like a very well managed Discord server with really nice people, like genuinely. Also, if anyone's interested in joining another gaming related community, There's also mine, which is the Waffle Zone. And Waffle Zone is associated with my other channel, Ginger Snasby. Oh, hello, Familia. Welcome. We're talking about gaming, and we're talking about gaming communities right now. But we were talking mostly about like how, you know, gaming helps us as autistic people. But so my community is called the Waffle Zone. It's on Discord. And like I said, it's mostly associated with my Ginger Snasby channel right now, which if you don't know, I'm going to send actually a link to my other channel. It's got a variety of stuff. I'm like a variety streamer on Twitch. And let's see. But I'll send the YouTube so you can see like clips and stuff. Here we go. But yeah, I'm a VTuber and variety streamer on this. These are just clips from it. But I actually stream on Twitch specifically. So if you want to see my Twitch channel, here it is. Ginger Snasby. And I'll send a link to the Discord as well. Like, even if you're not, even if you don't watch like my gaming channel, the people in the Waffle Zone are also like really nice and welcoming and friendly, and we have topic channels and lots of different stuff. And I'm hoping to also kind of integrate it into this channel as well. And also Jaden is a gamer as well and a streamer, right? Do you want me to share your Twitch as well?
Sure.
Cool. I'm gonna share Jaden's Twitch. What kind of games do you play on your channel?
Lots of different kinds.
Lots of different kinds. Lots of different stuff. So, and I'm gonna go fetch that link to the Waffle Zone. I am extra slow today. Okay. Here you go. If you'd like to join the Waffle Zone Discord server, here's a direct link. Yeah, there's lots of fun stuff to do in there. So I just wanted to bring up all of that before we continue with the discussion. The next thing I wanted to talk about on our agenda is the gay agenda. No, I'm kidding. No. Let's see. Yeah, so one thing that might come up in discussions on autism and gaming is the risk of addiction. And there are certainly situations where an autistic person can actually legitimately be addicted to video games. And let's see. One moment, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. I need a drink. Okay, so video game addiction is a legitimate concern, especially from like parents, it seems, of autistic kids. Like, one common question that they might ask online is like, how can I get my kid to stop playing video games all day? And I feel like the answer to that kind of question would be, well, first we need to figure out why they're playing video games all day, and if it's actually an addiction or if it's a special interest, because those two can look kind of similar, but there's a difference. So, and both of those
and if it actually is all day, that's another thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, because also we can kind of like over exaggerate stuff like that sometimes. So like, you know, so they might say, oh, they play all day when really they play maybe a couple hours or something, but for some reason the other person thinks that it's too long. Wah! Wah! Sound like Mario right there. Yeah, so I think that we're doing sound effects now. Okay. Hi, Pasu Mine. What's happening? We're talking about gaming and autism. We've gone to the topic of the difference between like addiction, like gaming addiction, and just a special interest in gaming. And I think honestly that both of those things can be coping mechanisms, because like honestly the reason why people get addicted to stuff I think sometimes is a coping mechanism or a distraction. But the same thing with special interests, like when you're really, really into something, like it can also be a coping mechanism or distraction. I think what draws the line between an addiction and a special interest is how much time you're spending on it, and if it is interfering with life. Like more so the second thing, because like you can spend a lot of time on a special interest, but if it's not interfering with your life and your ability to go to work, your ability to like do life, if it's not ruining your relationships, it's like it's probably just a special interest if it's not doing any of those things. So Positive Mind says, my mom's favorite game is Mario. Ooh, which one? There's a lot of different Mario games. A lot of them are fun. Also, Rage Master said, some autistic people can work in the gaming industry. Becoming a video game designer and or game developer, I think working in the gaming industry can be a common thing for autistic people. Yeah, let's talk about that after we talk about addiction, because that's actually a good topic. I know a lot of autistics who are into like making games. Paxton says best part is when your special interest is your job. Oh yeah, I mean, and like Rage Master said too, like if you're really into video games and you make video games, imagine how cool that would be, right?
My only concern would be like the quality of the work environment, and you know, especially with today, a lot of the AAA gaming companies, they're just doing all kinds of crap. They treat their devs like crap. They give them unrealistic deadlines, and then that makes the game fail, and then people blame the devs because, you know, XYZ, they're the ones making it, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not really even their fault.
Agreed. And
I wouldn't work for a game company in today's environment.
I wouldn't either. Like, it's like I have some special interests that... Excuse me, hang on. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. I have some special interests that I feel like if I did them as a job, like maybe it'll be fun for a while, but I think like I might feel overworked. Positive Mind says Super Mario Brothers, and I like it too. Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah, going back to the topic of addiction though, like I said, I think what draws the line is like, is it negatively affecting your ability to work and your relationships and stuff like that? There are some people who legit can't work, and in that case, it's like, that's fine. But if it's like, you know, you're not feeding yourself, you're not doing things you're supposed to be doing for like self-care or maintaining relationships because you're playing video games all the time, I think that's what constitutes an addiction. So when like parents of autistic kids, when they ask the question, how do I get my kid to stop playing video games all day? Like, you need to ask those other questions first. Like, is it genuinely interfering with their life, or is it that they're just playing it for a long time, but they're still like doing life? And hi, Afro Teddy Bear. Teddy said, yay, I caught a stream. Rumors are the biggest AAA game companies are heading towards a recession. I mean, I would imagine, because I wonder if people, why is that actually? What do you think, Jaden? Why do you think they're heading towards a recession? Because I don't want to speculate, because I'm not actually an expert on this stuff.
Okay, so in order to kind of highlight this, we're going to go back in time a little bit to 1983. So in 1983, there was a market crash in the video game sector, and it was largely due to Atari putting out just like an ungodly number of games. They literally flooded the market, but the games weren't quality games. They were low quality copies of other games that have already sold, etc., etc. And it caused a crash in the market because there was no demand for products that people had either played already or didn't work or just whatever else. So the reason that's relevant is because you fast forward to today, and gaming companies are actually making that same exact mistake. You know, they're pushing out unfinished games at full price and and consumers are getting more and more sick and tired of it. And this has been a trend for a long time now that I've noticed, and it started up right around the time when game companies were allowed to patch games after release. They started using that as a crutch, and to, basically it's an excuse for them to be able to push games that weren't finished because they could, quote, fix them later. But that became the industry standard. And that's a problem because people are paying for games that are unfinished or, glitched all to hell and back.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And yeah, and this has been a repeated problem. It's getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least one game now, Battlefield 2042. They released it, I kid you not, without core features that were needed for players to enjoy the game. The game was a glitchy mess in the first place when it released, but it didn't even have a scoreboard, which was something that they had in every single Battlefield game. Battlefield is a competitive shooter game, and it's largely played online with other people. So to not have a scoreboard was insane. And that's just one example. So, and I've been saying it, time and again, these companies, they're making terrible decisions upon terrible decisions. They're going to oversaturate the market with just garbage. It's not sustainable. People are going to stop buying their games because of that. And then, they won't be able to sell a product because nobody's going to trust them to release something that's worth, buying.
So what do you think of like indie games in comparison? Do you find that like indie developers tend to be better about like actually finishing their games?
Yeah, because they have to.
Yeah.
The indie game scene is held to a higher standard than AAA gaming companies have been for the past 20 years. And a really good example of that is so there's two games that I'm gonna list off. BioShock Infinite, and No Man's Sky. BioShock Infinite was done by id Games, which, they're a big company, and they did BioShock largely, and they did a good job up until BioShock Infinite. Well, the problem with BioShock Infinite was that what they gave the public, it was something completely different to what they were advertising to the public. If you look at trailers for BioShock Infinite, 90% of what you see was not even in the game that they released. So
that's messed up.
Oh yeah, and they should have been called out on it when they did it, but they didn't. And I'm surprised they still weren't called out for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they got away with it because they were, a big company. No Man's Sky, on the other side of that, was made by an indie game creation company that it's called Hello Games, and they'd done other smaller projects before and had released other things. But No Man's Sky is really what put them on the map. And it's a great game, and like it's phenomenal. It's like literally an entire galaxy, multiple galaxies in fact, for you to explore freely, with like procedural generation and everything else. It's really quite amazing what they did. But
that's impressive.
Yeah. They pulled off something that the AAA gaming company, or not companies, but AAA gaming companies on the whole still haven't done.
Wow.
So
well, it's probably because their focus is on like just creating something that they love, and less so on the money. Like I feel like the big companies are just focused on money, like, oh, just release the thing so we can sell it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, when No Man's Sky first released, there was one thing that was an issue, because they were going through Sony as a publishing company. And the game had been delayed at least once. And then Sony basically told them they had to release the game in whatever state it was on XYZ date or else, essentially. So they had to release it, but it wasn't even close to finished. The systems they had, were not even close to being implemented yet. And the person who had spoken about No Man's Sky, its creator specifically, basically was talking about what his vision was for the game, but a lot of what he was talking about hadn't been done yet. It hadn't been put in the game yet. So people took that as if he was lying about it and stuff like that because of the way he worded it. But he wasn't a PR person or anything like that. He wasn't experienced with the marketing side of gaming industry. So that it was kind of an issue with that. But when they launched it, people gave them crap for it because they were basically an indie studio who was unproven, etc. And to this day, I still find it ironic because they always had the intention to fix the problems with the game, but it was Sony telling them they had to release it that put them in a situation to where they lost reputation over that. But of course now, and at this point, No Man's Sky has become one of the most acclaimed games of its time. And they're still making content for it.
Makes sense. So yeah, very interesting trivia. I was gonna say, going on the topic of indie games, one indie game that I really like is Raft. I think that's an indie game, right? Does that count as an indie game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I wanted to actually mention Raft too, just because that's an example of a game that for me, despite the fact that I have sensory and information processing issues that prevent me from playing a lot of newer games, I really like Raft. It's I play it on peaceful mode just so it's less stuff I gotta deal with. Also, I think I can hear you echo a little bit, or hear my stuff echo through your mic. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That's random. Yeah, Raft is at least for me on peaceful mode, it's very relaxing. And it's very repetitive, sort of like Minecraft to some degree, but I got kind of bored of Minecraft just because there's only so much you can do in Minecraft. I know you can do mods and stuff. I'm not great with that stuff. I'm just it's not that I'm not technologically advanced in that way. I just haven't really learned how to use mods for stuff like that. But for Raft, it's the game just itself is really good, and I like that you're sailing in water, and I like water and the exploration aspect. Exploration is probably one of my favorite aspects of a lot of games. If there's not enough to explore, I might get bored. That's why I've been playing Skyrim for so long, because it's there's so much to explore, and even though I've been playing the game for so many years, I don't think I've even explored every single area and every single cave and every single everything. And part of that also
I did at one point.
Oh, of course you did. The time that you spend playing video games, honestly, compared to me, is there's a big difference.
Yeah.
I can really love a game and play it for maybe a long period of time. Every once in a while, I did a 7-hour stream once playing Raft. I played Raft for 7 hours straight for that live stream. But that's not normal for me. I'll usually play maybe an hour or two, and an hour or two, you know, maybe a couple times a week. That's still, I don't think, enough for me to fully explore Skyrim, because I'm playing that's for all of my games, not just Skyrim. Like I'd play lots of different games. So
yeah, even with the amount of time that I spend in video games, it took me, I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years to see everything in Skyrim.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then they like re-release it and you're like, oh, now I gotta play it again because it's like higher definition or it's in VR. I want to start playing Skyrim VR more. So I want to go back to the topic of like gaming companies kind of screwing things up, because I've definitely noticed it with things like mobile games especially, and they do this in some other games as well, but like they seem to prey on people's like addictive tendencies, like, and they have like these annoying, you know, freemium type mobile games, for example, where, you know, oh, it's a free game, and they make the gameplay as addicting as possible, which is inherently not a bad thing. It's like you want people to play your games, right? But then you run into a paywall where you have to pay to continue, or you have to like, or they make it so like you literally can't continue unless you like have these certain items that you have to use real money for, and it's just, it ends up being very expensive. I've heard of like how some people would put thousands of dollars into like just a mobile game because they got addicted to it. And that's just how these things are like supposed to work, even though it's not. I don't feel like that's true to how video games should be. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons that everybody is not happy with Diablo Immortal right now. Their end game stuff is pay to win, and what's really bad about it is like there's a specific item that you have to get to level up your gear a specific way, and you have to get that item like multiple times, but in order to get that item you get to spend money to, you know, get like tokens or something like that for a chance to get it.
I hear that it ends up being really, really expensive with that game, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, so like the average that they realized that it would cost someone to fully level up all their gear with everything that they need is their estimate was like $500,000 is what you would have to spend to get it.
Yeah, no, I would much rather use that money to buy a house with how much everything costs in the housing market right now. Yeah, not in a game. This is why I literally just don't play mobile games anymore unless it's one of those like indie kind of games that that you can fully enjoy without buying stuff.
There was a YouTuber that wanted to prove basically how bad Diablo Immortal's pay-to-win mechanics were. Spent $20,000 to get just one of those items that they needed.
No,
from that point, they literally deleted their character. They deleted the game, and as far as I know, they're never playing it again.
I mean, I wouldn't either.
No.
What else was I gonna say? Also, like, how this is relevant to autistic people as well is that, you know, there are autistic people who, and also this could apply to kids as well. Like, there are some autistic people who, you know, they just want to play the game, and they don't really think about how much things are costing them. Like, they'll be like, oh, I want more of these items for this character or whatever, I'm just gonna hit pay and think about it later, especially if you have like ADHD or you have like impulse issues. And your character froze and is looking at me funny. I think Jaden disappeared. What are you doing?
Sorry, I had to get up for a second.
That looked funny. It looked like you were like sniffing my ear or something. That was pretty funny. Anyway, I was gonna say, like, like, you know, there are people who might not think twice about just spending the money. And like, I even personally know people, I know somebody with ADHD who like has issues with like, you know, buying stuff in games and like spending way too much money. And so it's like, it's not as uncommon as you think. And so I feel like gaming companies are exploiting people who are vulnerable to that kind of thing. Like even if you're not neurodivergent, like even if you just have addictive tendencies, like if you're into gambling, like this is literally, a lot of this is literally like gambling. I think you've mentioned loot boxes as well was another thing. It's like, ooh, yay, random random stuff. Drop a bunch of money.
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems, because loot boxes were one of the things that I noticed, years ago, starting to come in and really wreck the video game scene. But yeah, they're specifically programmed. These games that they put the stuff in, they program the game purposefully to waste your time, so that you will spend money on a solution that it only has like a small chance or whatever of actually giving you the solution. And the problem with that is, you know, like you said, that preys on a lot of people, especially those with like gambling addiction. And there have been studies that have come out that have proven that there's a correlation between, you know, loot box mechanics and people who have gambling addiction problems.
Yes.
So like they would start off with, you know, the loot boxes essentially, and the study found that they were more likely to have gambling addiction problems in like casinos as well, as a result of the process, because, you know, it's manipulative at all it is. And of course, you know, game companies have been trusted by governments to regulate themselves on this matter, but they're not going to do that because, you know, they're literally raking in millions of dollars doing this crap.
Yeah, profiting off of people's misery.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So like government oversight is honestly the only thing that we can do at this point, because, you know, the people that they're preying on, they don't necessarily have, you know, the means or the ability to walk away from it. I mean, it's an addiction for them, obviously. So they're gonna keep buying the stuff, and they're gonna keep buying the games that have this stuff, and then they're essentially going to keep, you know, they're gonna stay in that process, and it would take an outside source to help them get away from that.
Oh yeah. Or in some cases, like if you're someone who's dealing with this kind of thing, like if you're dealing with addiction, or like if you're, you know, spending impulsively on all these games and it's negatively affecting your life, like financially. I mean, I'm not an expert, all right? It's just we're not medical doctors or anything like that. Just so you know, if you can't get like outside help, I mean, if you can, go for it. Like honestly, like, find a therapist if you have access to therapy. Find some friend, or if you have any friends who can help you out, like with, you know, keeping you accountable, like that kind of thing could help. But also, this might not like be exactly the same thing, but I have OCD, and there's like an addictive part of it. And like, for example, the compulsions, they're very alluring and very addictive because, for me, I get a lot of intrusive thoughts about like completely random stuff, and it'll cause anxiety. What it'll do is it'll cause a spike of anxiety. I want that spike of anxiety to go away, so I will often type into Google, which I probably shouldn't. I've actually switched to a private browser now, but like I will type into a search, like an internet search, my thought. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to calm down my brain. I'm trying to reassure myself about that thought. Like, let's say the thought is, trying to think of an example. Let's say and a lot of them actually stem from legitimate like things as well. Like, let's say I am worried that I'm going to lose my food stamps. That's a legitimate concern for me.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between worrying and having like OCD worrying. So like, let's say my OCD will give me the intrusive thought of like SNAP benefits are unfair to low-income people or something because of the rules and blah 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 blah. So I'll go into Google and I'll like type that in, and I'll purposely search up really enraging like articles on the topic. All it does is it makes me feel worse. It does not help. It does not help. But it's a compulsion. It's an addiction. It's something that I'm trying to use to help me feel better, but ultimately it just makes me feel worse. And the ways that honestly that I deal with it the best is trying not to have access to it. When you have an addiction, like, and this can apply to things like also like alcohol, I think, as well, and smoking. Like, if you're away from the thing, you're less likely to engage with the thing. So like if you don't have alcohol in your house, for instance, like you're less likely to drink. Hopefully you don't live within walking distance of a place that has it. But in my case, because all of this stuff was on like my phone, because I did most of the searching on my phone, not really on my computer. I ended up getting an app for blocking social media as like when I was having social media, Google, all of that stuff, when I was having these thoughts, because I would also sometimes turn to social media as well. And honestly, that was the best thing I could do that gets me out of that funk. And I know it's like really hard, especially if you have some kind of addiction to something. Like self-control is like ridiculously difficult to have, like when you have that. So if you have like a gaming addiction, not sure what to tell you. You'd have to figure out like what's the thing that's negatively affecting you the most out of that stuff. Like if you're having a gaming addiction with like mobile games, for example, honestly, that kind of stuff I would just quit. I would quit cold turkey, just because like I don't think if you have really addictive tendencies, I don't think it's easy to continue to play a mobile game that's inherently addictive, that makes you buy stuff to continue. Like I would switch to different games. I would find mobile games, if you're like a mobile gamer, find mobile games that don't do that. Because if the problem is that you're like spending too much money on the games, for example, like find a game that doesn't do that to you. That's just like, a full game. Like I have like a nice little mahjong game on my phone that, I don't have to pay a dime. If it's like a gaming addiction where it's affecting your life, like from just the gaming itself and not necessarily like the spending money, not sure what to tell you on that one, because honestly I haven't had as much experience with that kind of thing. But yeah, hope that helps if anybody like deals with that. So I'm gonna read the chat because we probably missed some stuff. Afro Teddy Bear says, I highly recommend people set up digital well-being app restrictions if you use Android. Is that an app, digital well-being, to limit your use of apps you have a compulsion to overuse? For example, I have time limits on my YouTube to limit my use. Yes, there's also one that I use called Stay Focused, and that does the same thing. It gives me like 30 minutes per hour to watch YouTube videos, and my daily limit for watching YouTube videos is an hour and a half. So if for some reason I want to sit down and watch 30 minutes of YouTube, 3 times a day, I can do that. I just can't sit there and do it, I can't do it for the whole hour and a half because I have to be productive throughout the day. So I can set limits like that. That kind of thing helps, because then then I can actually face my day and my thoughts and deal with it instead of trying to constantly distract myself. So Rage Master says, Neurolucia, did you know some autistic people can work in the gaming industry becoming video game designer? Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, and that's something I wanted to actually talk about. So I'm not specifically a game designer. I think Jaden has had a little bit of experience with that.
Little bit.
Yeah, what kind of stuff have you done with that kind of thing?
Oh man. Well, a lot. I don't think I ever really finished a project, but yeah, I've tried a bunch of different stuff. Everything from like top down to trying to think of what the other ones. So I messed around a little bit with FPS games as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing could be a viable, I would say a viable career, but you know, just a viable fun thing, even just for autistic people who are really into video games, who like want to learn how to make them. Being a game developer could be kind of fun. The only thing is, like, I don't know a ton about game development, but what I do know is like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a big learning curve if you haven't, like, you know, done any of it. Oops, sorry about that sound. That was just a squeak. In my case, like, I'm not a game developer, but I had to learn how to use a little bit of Blender and Unity to tweak this character that I have. I used Vroid to make the character in the first place. Thankfully, that kind of makes that kind of thing more accessible for someone like me who's not really experienced with 3D modeling, like from scratch. But even just learning how to use that stuff, because like people who make, especially, you know, 3D games, will use things like Blender and Unity for some games. And I learned that there are a lot of steps to things that you'd think would be really quick to do, right? Like, it took me forever to learn just how to put a shirt on my model. like holy crud. Like, so I can't imagine how much work it would be for like an actual game developer to do that. So if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna be like an indie developer kind of thing, like, if you're like dedicated enough, you know, maybe you could do it. But I feel like maybe like if there was a whole team of indie developers, that would be like probably a better option. Unfortunately, a lot of autistic people, we don't work well in teams or in groups. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, if it was like a team of like autistic ones, like maybe we'd get along a little better and, you know, work together better. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Oh man, can you imagine how disorganized it would be if like they had a whole team of autistic game developers, but every single one of them had ADHD?
ADHD and autism is like the magic mix that makes you like not productive from my experience. It's like, I love routine as an autistic person, but I hate routine as an ADHD person. Therefore, I will do nothing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, hey, we all showed up today. Awesome. You guys want a pizza? Cool. Let's order a pizza. All right. And then they spend another 2 hours deciding what kind of pizza they want.
Exactly. And then they get off into all these tangents about like,
yeah, I was gonna say they
how
they
pizzas
talk about
are made
50 topics
and then they start talking about something unrelated, and yeah, exactly.
I used pepperoni on my sandwiches.
So is there
Look,
anything,
a butterfly.
Is there anything else that like you wanted to touch on, Jaden, that you can think of? We'll probably end the stream in about a little under 20 minutes, but
Nothing's coming to mind.
okay. I think I'll think of something, but for now I'm gonna take a very short break because I really got to go to the bathroom. So I'll be back. You can feel free to entertain people though if you want, unless you need a break too, Jaden. I'll be back.
Oh boy. She's asking me to entertain. There's a scary thought. I'm not sure what you would call it. I'm into both. I've done console gaming for like pretty much my entire life. But lately I've been getting more into PC stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure what Ether's been doing lately on that front.
Meow. What?
Nothing.
What?
I didn't end the world.
What? Okay. You need to explain yourself. What happened?
No, nothing. We were just sitting there chilling.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Pizza. Yep. Oh yeah, speaking of games, I do play games on my other channel, like I've said, Ginger Snaspy, even though sometimes I'll just stream just other stuff. So yeah, that's always fun. So if you want to see me play games, I do that over there. And Jaden has a channel as well, a Twitch channel. I'm gonna put down all those links again, just so people can have access to them again. I always type them out from memory. Is that weird? Is that weird that I type links from memory? And
not in the case of Twitch. It's pretty easy.
yeah. Now, for something like a really, really complicated URL, like I can't remember random strings of numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last time on my Twitch channel, I think we played Jackbox games last time. We played Jackbox games. So if you like Jackbox games, they're basically like these games that you can actually join. Like as long as you have a browser on your either PC or your smartphone, you can join the games, and they're super fun, and they're very fun things like sort of like, for example, Quiplash is one of them. That's a fill in the blank kind of thing. So they'll give you a sentence, and you'd be like, let me think of a good sentence. Like my favorite thing to do on Sundays is blank. And then you can put literally anything in it. It'd be like, my favorite thing to do on Sundays is eat rocks, and people vote for it. That's an example of one game. Sorry I interrupted you, Jaden.
Oh, I was going to say, in terms of Quiplash, a really good one would be, the last thing you want to hear on a plane is... we're gonna die!
Fart noises. Oh, we
we're
have a lot
going down.
There's a lot of fart noises on my channel as well. So here's the link to my Twitch. And yeah, you can set off sound alerts and stuff, and there are a lot of fart sounds there, and people like to set those off. So if you want to like troll me during my streams and just set off a sound alert, like a fart or a dog woofing or something weird, like you can do that. But yeah, I played Jackbox. Aroo! But yeah, we played Jackbox games on there. I also have been playing Secret of Monkey Island. Not Secret of Monkey Island. I played that one already. Monkey Island 2. LeChuck's Revenge. I've been trying to play that because they did a remake of it a while back. Fart noise. So that's fun. And I also review memes. Like if you're in my Discord server, which I'm going to share the link to that again. If you're in my Discord server, the Waffle Zone, you can share memes in the memes channel, and they might end up in one of my clips or in my live stream where I'll like react to it and stuff. Very fun. And sometimes I'll include little bits of what people put in chat because some people have really funny things to say. So, but yeah, join the Discord server. We also have movie nights every month, once a month. And people can suggest movies and we vote on one and we all decide what to watch, and it's great. So that's the link to Waffle Zone. And also, again, Jaden has a Twitch channel as well. Here's a link to his Twitch channel. He plays a lot of different games.
Yep.
And what else is there?
I don't always stream. I wish I could stream more often, but yeah.
I know, right? And let's see. I stream at least once a month. At least that's what I strive for. And sometimes I stream in my Discord as well, like just like random stuff usually. And I also like to talk to people in there. Every once in a while I'll join a voice channel and just talk to people because it's fun. I like conversations. You know, anything to distract myself from the crippling isolation, right? So, whoa. Yeah, Jaden has a soundboard and he likes to use it for fun. He'll do that on. He sometimes is in Discord calls too, and when he's in a call, he'll do his soundboard and voice changer, and it's hilarious. And again, I think I've also mentioned the Autistic Gaming Initiative, which is a group of autistic gamers who stream once a month. And if you want to join them or their community, like you don't have to be a streamer, you don't have to stream for them to join the community and just talk to other autistic gamers or even just autistic people in general who have like different interests. There's lots of different types of people in there and they're all like generally very nice. So Danny says one is Monkey Island 2. I'm not sure yet. This month I'm going to be doing an art stream, and that's going to be, let's see, Saturday, August 30th is one of our movie nights. We're having 2 movie nights this month. So if you're in Waffle Zone, we're going to be watching Wolf Children, which is an anime movie, on Saturday the 23rd and Saturday the 30th of this month. And that will be at 7 p.m. Central Time, both of those days. I decided to host 2 screenings just because of people's availability. Normally we only host 1 screening of a movie, but yeah, Saturday the 23rd and the 30th we have Wolf Children anime movie. And then Sunday the 31st is my next live stream at, again, 7 p.m. Central Time. That's like my favorite time apparently. And I'm gonna be doing art commissions, like dirt cheap, like literally $5 art commissions. Shh, don't tell anyone. And that's gonna be super fun. So join for that, and that'll be on my Twitch channel. And oh, thank you, Paxton, for another sticker thing. Oh, I just noticed that the Red Bull thing is that a sticker or is that your oh, that's your profile picture. I'm so confused. The last time I thought that was like, okay, I see the sticker now. The sticker's a 1-up hippo. Thank you. That was awesome. The other one was a heart. I got very confused the first time. I thought the sticker was the Red Bull. It's like, no, that's just Paxton's profile picture. But yeah, my brain is so dead, Jaden. Quick, tell me a joke.
I got nothing.
My life?
Yeah, my life.
No, my life. My life, Jaden. Mine's a joke, not yours. I'm gonna clip this. I don't know what that was, but thank you. All right, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining. This was very fun. Yeah. And next time, I want to host more live streams like this. I have a lot of topics in mind as well. And what were we thinking of calling this live stream? WaffleCast, right?
Yep.
So, thank you for joining our first WaffleCast podcast, even though it's not in the title for the first one. This is more of a let's just see how this goes kind of thing. And it was fun. It was very fun, Rage Master. Thank you for joining Rage Master and Paxton and Danny and the other people. I forget all of your names, but it was very fun. And I'll see you next time. I'll tell you when the next live stream is on my social medias. So please follow me on Facebook or on Twitter or just join my Discord, because I sometimes post about my Neurolucia stuff there. Everyone have a good night. Jaden, say bye-bye.
Later.